All right. Happy Monday night. Hope you guys are doing well. Lots of things popping off in geopolitics and crypto space, macroeconomics, all the good stuff. You're going to break some of that down here to begin with, and then we will get into the Q&A. As always, if you're looking for, can't give you advice, but, I'll give you my on mitigating taxes, estate planning, anything to do with digital assets is always game or fair game to chat about. And so we'll hop into that. But first, we've got Ripple passing out, well, not passing out, but granting a billion XRP to the validators between Japan and Korea, which I think is pretty cool. There's been some speculation that they might do that with other countries that come on board running validators on the XRPL. Maybe something in the Middle East, Brazil, Canada, maybe US. We'll see who all decides to hop on board and who gets an allocation of some XRP to continue to build on the ledger. So that was pretty cool news. That broke just a little while ago. What else do we have? You got Russia running war game simulations off the coast of Cuba. You've got a nuclear submarine off the coast of Florida as well, which is interesting. I don't know if that's posturing or threats or what that's going to end up being. You've got Saudi Arabia meeting with Russia tomorrow to ink a deal for them to be able to transact outside the petrodollar. A lot of speculation that agreement actually ended Sunday, just a few days ago. Well, actually yesterday. I have no confirmation on that. I have no actual definitive paperwork that shows that June 8th or 9th in 1974 was the day that they actually inked that deal, or that it was for a 50-day period. But very interesting nonetheless, especially with, the events transpiring as they are, with those two large players, geopolitical players, meeting to ink a deal tomorrow. So obviously the Middle East is, if that contract is expired, is not going to re-up that with the U.S., and that would be the end of our supremacy. There are still a lot of players that hold U.S. foreign debt. It is the only other tier one asset in the banking system per the BIS, aside from gold, which we have seen, other central banks globally, including the U.S., stockpile significant amounts of gold over the last 5 years here, 6 years here, since 2019, when the BIS did change the designation for gold back to a tier one asset. So a lot of things kind of transpiring. You've got, some potentially, I think this week's going to be really volatile. I'm not the TA guy. I did watch Blockchain Backers commentary and his video earlier today. If you guys don't follow him, shout out to BCB. We got to see him at Consensus and say hi. And, he thinks that there's going to be a lot of volatility in the market very soon. He's watching, he lays out in the video very well the constraints that are different this time than in previous bull markets for digital assets, and why there's some potential headwinds for Bitcoin to head higher and other altcoins, or if there even be an alt season. We all hope that there will be something that comes out of the blue. And that's kind of what he talked about in the video, similar constraints to what we saw in 2020 before we had a big downturn in the market, black swan type event out of left field. And he said, surprises are surprises. It's not something that you're going to know is coming. So we definitely be looking out for that on the horizon here this week. And it'll be cool to see, if there is something that comes out of left field, it feels that way. Feels like we're on shaky ground. So anyway, done rambling. We'll go ahead and hop into the Q&A here and break it down. If you do have any questions that are burning for you, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. If you would mind clicking the like button and share them with somebody else that you think might enjoy this as well. We're going to go ahead and start it off with Robert. He says, Interledger Protocol, ILP, when operating transaction in universal mode, is designed to use XRP by default. Is this your understanding as well? No idea, to be honest with you. I am not a programmer. I've never heard of universal mode for ILP or Interledger Protocol. It would make sense to me that they would use, one of those assets that a lot of people that are denominated with X that would be agnostic, don't have counterparty risk to be able to transmit transactions in that protocol. Obviously, I would prefer that to be XRP. But to be completely honest, it's not anything I've ever looked at or looked up. So not positive one way or another. But it sounds great. So I don't know who told you that or where you found it. If you wouldn't mind, if you did find it on a link somewhere, sharing it in the chat, and we will definitely, take a look at it. CS2424 says, what are your top 5 digital assets for ROI over the next 2 years? Good. See, this is a good question here. There's good constraints, time period, and not just what are my favorite assets. Return on investment, top 5. There's just so many outside things that could transpire. If I had to just rattle them off based on the limited knowledge and beliefs that I have, these are just opinions, take it with a grain of salt. In no particular order, XRP, HBAR, probably XLM in that group as well. Flare. I think Flare is super undervalued in comparison to where it's headed. And then, if Flare does well, then you probably have Songbird. So maybe those are my 5, XRP, XLM, HBAR, Flare, and Songbird for ROI in particular. And those are all going to be things where you're going to have real world use case, volume transactions, DeFi, and then, locking up of supply in some capacity to drive supply and demand. So those are my 5. If you just, pin me to the wall, that's what I would say. Let's see here. Bulldog Traveler says, Jake, have you ever considered running for political office in Texas? I'm not saying I would wish that on you, but we need crypto savvy people in DC. It's not anything I've ever considered. That doesn't mean that it won't be something that I do later in life. And I've talked about this before. I'm in a period in my life where I want to make sure that I set myself up financially. I've done well with that so far, but I want to continue to, double down on that for this period of time till I'm about 40. And then I might reinvent myself or do different things that I didn't have time for when I was younger. And then, after doing that, there'll come a point later in life where political office might be something that I would look at. I don't think I would want to be doing that in my 70s. If I'm coherent and I have a clear mind and I'm still articulate and doing well, and I understand the changing trends that are happening, maybe that's something I'll consider at that point. But I think we'll probably have a very different political landscape by the time I'm that age. I do have, multiple friends that have held political offices, run for mayor of other positions in different states. I have been to DC, and we are in conversations. We actually just met with digital chamber while we were at Consensus. So I definitely agree with you. I think that there's a big need and a big push for people that are a bit more, like you said, crypto savvy, and their capability to speak with and have conversations with people there in DC. Just because I don't think that I think they have a very limited scope of understanding of this stuff. Victor says, "Hey Jake, hypothetically speaking, if you were residing in Canada and you wanted to maintain your wealth post liquidity event, assuming you're worth 20 million plus, what steps would you take to do so?" This is a good question. So I just had an interview with Aaron Grinhaus not too long ago. If you want to check that out on the channel, he's the go-to. I would go have a conversation with him previous to the liquidity event and make sure that I had something set up outside of Canada. I would, it depends on if I want to stay there or not. Personally, if I lived in Canada, I would get the hell out of there as fast as I could. I know that, people have family there and they've lived there their whole lives. I've lived in Texas my whole life. I can't deal with the cold. And it's not that I don't, like the people in Canada. I've met a lot of Canadians. They're great people. There's no way I could put up with the temperatures that it stays there. And so, I would be looking to, snowbird down here to Texas or, further south where, Aaron helps people establish things in the Bahamas or, closer to the equator. And then that way, I could spend time on the beach in the sun. And so I'd probably establish my trust down there, set things up, gift things. And it wouldn't really matter when you gifted it. But I think there are some implications for taxes on the exit of Canada. So the sooner you do that, I think the better. Anyway, so that would be my first step. I would have a conversation with him. I'd get things established down there, and then post liquidity event, I would peace out of Canada and head down somewhere where it was a little bit warmer. But again, you asked me specifically. I can't deal with the cold, so that's my 2 cents, Victor. Here's Rick says, if you had a client that held Iraqi dinar, that would be worth millions when the revaluation occurred. What would your quick exit strategy be? Would you exchange it for another currency if the USD were fragile? I've talked about this before. I don't have a whole lot of faith that they're actually going to revalue the dong, the zim, the dinar. I think that they'll issue digital representations of those, and there'll be an exchange rate between the old one and the new one. I don't think they'll revalue the paper one that currently exists. I would love to be wrong. I have clients that hold literally pallets worth of Iraqi dinar because they do believe that there's a revaluation that's going to occur. I don't know what your quick exit strategy on that deal is. I would find a broker that would be able to swap those currencies. If there is a digital representation of them, I would swap the physical for the digital, park it at a bank somewhere and get their stable coin that they issued against it once it's been revalued. And then I would swap that for whatever I wanted to be able to generate a yield. It's not necessarily USD. On the other side of this, I think the USD is still a large player in geopolitics and global currencies. But I think that there's some other options as well that would probably pay pretty well. U.S. sovereign debt, I think, will be sucked up by people that are going to be issuing stable coins here domestically. And once we have, foreign debt that is discharged or sold off, I think that's where it'll end up is domestic banks, fiduciaries, and other enterprises that want to issue stable coins will have to hold that collateral. And so that's where it goes. But yeah, that would be what I would say. If you really do think it's going to be revalued, I would swap it for whatever digital representation they're going to give you for that, and then be able to exchange it or park it somewhere where I was able to earn a good yield on it or borrow against it. Atlantic Living. Appreciate you, brother. You're always on here. He says, thanks so much for the interview with Aaron Grinhaus. And all of us learned a lot about the difference between Canada, NA, crypto and NA, especially the daily trading is certainly not recommended in Canada. Yeah, like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge. He has a full breadth of understanding of the tax implications there and the tax code in Canada. And he also understands a lot of the stuff here domestically in the U.S., and he's able to contrast and compare those. I learned a lot. I always do. All the professionals I have conversations with, every conversation I have with them, I ask them things, and I learn something too. So great to be able to share that with you guys, and we plan on doing lots more. He says, still not understanding why many mainstream influencers, content creators are not sold on XRP. Why do you think that is? My belief is they do not have patience to wait for utility cycle. We've missed the boat on a lot of stuff. I've missed the boat on a lot of stuff because I have such conviction on this and just continued to double down on it. I'm okay with that, though. I'm okay with foregoing some of the speculation and the other issues, and not really issues, but opportunities, because I believe on the other side of this, the opportunities the upside far outweighs what I've missed. I wouldn't say that they don't believe. Well, it kind of goes exactly in line with what you have said here. They don't have patience to wait for utility cycle. I think people have a hard time delaying gratification. And because of that, they're looking for the get rich quick. And you actually have that in crypto, right? Like you're able to see all of these opportunities, and you can flip meme coins, and you can take leverage, and you can do all this crazy stuff, and you can really see some significant upside in a very short period of time. And because of that, also, I would say if somebody's main source of income comes from being an influencer or content creator, they're also quick to, I don't want to say shill things, but market things to their advantage that might be in a lot. That's not a bad thing, right? Like if you believe in something and there's a partnership to be had that does compensate you, affiliate agreements are fantastic. We've got one with Decent Wallet. I think that their Decent Wallet is fantastic and is a great option for people. It's an option for people that can't hold their assets in institutional custody, that may not meet the amount that's required for that. I have a Decent Wallet, so when they approached us, I was like, cool, yeah, that would be great. We'd love to have an affiliate agreement with you guys. But as far as other like coins and stuff, people definitely get in on ICOs. I've been approached by a bunch of stuff. Haven't ever done that. I don't make money on that. We have a real business aside from, any of the stuff I do here. Multiple real businesses aside from what I do here. And so, with that, I think some people get caught up in that piece of it. And the reason they may not be sold on XRP is they just see all these other ladies in red dresses. There's always another opportunity, and if you think that one's going to pay out sooner, which a lot of them have, right, then you're willing to take that bet. And then it's also, kind of the ethos of most of the crypto space that, centralized banking and a lot of the stuff that people say that XRP is without really understanding the technology, I think just gets, blabbed about. And people just accept that that's what it is because their buddy told them. They don't really do any research for themselves. And so, for all those reasons, I think that that's why people shy away from this and haven't stuck with it. I try to be kind of a voice of reason, and even kill. I try to just explain how things are and not get too hypey or too fear-mongery, be steady. But anyway, I'm rambling on there, but those are the reasons I think that a lot of people haven't decided that XRP is something worth looking at. DB says, hey, Jake, you've mentioned numerous times the idea of forming an LLC. Does that assume that the LLC you set up is an actual business generating revenue? Does the LLC have to show profit or loss? You can have an LLC that sits open and available for use for at least 2 years that never generates any profit or has any cash flow through it. And so as long as you're maintaining the LLC and you file the tax form that's required that states you made no income, you can do that for a couple years with no actual revenue for the business. It can just be sat there as it's not really a shell company because there's assets allocated, but nothing has been paid out. It's just a holding company in the interim until you are able to conduct business or use the revenue that it creates through the investments to do other things with. Velvy 921. You said you've been waiting for changes in the oil industry for things to start moving. How do you feel about the end of the petrodollar agreement? Does this fit your criteria? Yeah, it absolutely does. I think that there could definitely be some volatility in oil prices if this really did end, over this weekend, and we do see the Middle East start transacting with Russia in the ruble versus the dollar. Yeah, I think that there's some pretty big implications there that could cause, some shifts geopolitically. All right. Great questions, by the way. Appreciate everybody taking time out on a Monday night to hop in here and listen to what I have to say. Robert Reed says, Jake, is there any chance they could make the private ledger XRP a higher price than the public's? No. I've explicitly asked David Schwartz about this in a couple different ways. Side chains, private ledgers, other things. And he has actually taken the time to respond to me on X when I've asked those questions. And if it were a higher price in a different ecosystem and it was transferable to the mainnet, then people would arbitrage that until it was not this. It would be the same price again. So if there are private ledgers at this point, which I'm confident that there are, they're not interoperable with the mainnet, and the XRP that sits on that's not the real XRP that's on the mainnet. You can't have an asset here that's also here and have different prices. Somebody would arbitrage that, and if it was wrapped, it would be the same way. So the answer is no. According to David Schwartz, that again, I asked him, that was what he said, and it makes sense to me. Here we go. John Blazer says, Jake, what do you think about the actual value of XAI? What actual value of XAI is currently? Link to has it for $20. I know we can do better in the mastermind. As always, man, thanks for all you do. Well, hold on. I'll look it up here and I can tell you. If you guys will go to a website called notice.co. Notice is spelled exactly how you would think it would be. You can type in, after you create a profile, XAI. The last trade was at $11.97 across the brokers. So if you want to see what stocks or private equity is actually trading at, notice.co is the website that I use. He aggregates all of the trades across equities in Hive, Forge, Link to NPM, and all of the other private brokers, and then actually charts it for you, which is super cool. And you can see what a fair market value is or what it's trading at on the private market. So Link2 has it at 20. I'm sure that they probably bought it at 11 10 or 11, and they're going to double their money. They're going to sell 50% of their allocation to you guys, recoup their capital, and then keep their spot on the cap table while they've completely de-risked from the deal. And that's their business model. I don't hate them for it. That's exactly how they run it. It's fantastic for business. It's just not so great for the investors. So anyway, yeah, maybe it's something we'll look at for the mastermind. And on that topic, if you guys do want to check it out, you can go to mastermind.beyondbroke.com. We run private deals in there. We're always looking for private equity that we think is going to do really well. And we'll go out and get an allocation for that, and then bring that to the group so that we can, all participate and get the upside. Pay Me an XLM says, Jake, thank you for working out advice. Fewer weights, more repetition. The results are in. Also, considering starting a chain of dry cleaners, can you help set up such a structure? I actually have, there's a member of the mastermind group. He's in Carbon 2 that I'm happy to connect you with. He runs a chain of dry cleaners and has done really well with that. Anyway, yeah, happy to make that connection for you. He can explain to you how he got into the business, how he started it, how he acquired the ones that he has. That's the benefit, again, of the mastermind. Like, I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. But the people that we attract in that group are experts and professionals in different niches and professions. And, as a cumulative group, we do pretty much have an answer for almost everything. So, yeah, would love to make that introduction for you. Just ping me on Discord in the mastermind group, and I will do that. Let's see here. Theo says, hey, Jake, how will digital identity work with an LLC, like KYCs and whatnot? Privacy was one of my biggest reasons for getting an LLC. It's KYB when you have a business. So it's know the business instead of know your customer. And the assets would be associated with that. Obviously, the parties that are running it would be listed. And they would have to, anybody that's more than 25% owner when you're registering is going to have to disclose that information. But again, if we set the trust up as the owner of the LLC, then that's who appears on there. And then, if you had a management company that you sat on the cap table of, that managed the investments in the LLC, doesn't have any ownership, doesn't have to disclose, but you still get full control. And the benefit of, rolling the taxes up to a C Corp. So, talked about that structure before on here. But that's kind of how it would work. You would do KYB or know your business. And if you are a 25% owner or more, you would have to disclose your details when dealing with somebody, but it wouldn't be on the public ledger. Digital identity that's native to the network. I believe, you'll be able to share whatever credentials or information is necessary and redact the rest of it where it's not publicly available. And, if it's in your personal name, then your name's going to be associated with stuff. But if it's with an LLC or business, they don't know any more than just the name associated with it. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with you. Living Legacy, all great questions. Appreciate you on the mastermind. A lot of really good members in there, including Living Legacy. Here we go. CCO Calvin says, hey, Jake, thanks for looking out for us. I'd love to do it. Just want to make sure you guys are set up or at least thinking about this stuff before everything pops off. He says, so in group, we're questions about operating agreement is OA. So one said, do not. Oh, yeah. So in the discussion yesterday, Future was in there running the call. His attorney set that up for him a couple years ago and listed the ledger that he had his assets on. That's not actually correct. That's not where those assets actually sit. you are going to want to list the wallet address associated with the assets. And the reason for that, and I explained to him as well, the wallet is actually where it sits on the network. And you could use the keys associated with that wallet to set it up on another device. So they don't actually reside on the device themselves. The device could be owned by the LLC in order to, it's basically a portal that allows you to view and transact with the assets on the network. But the wallet address itself is actually where what owns or where those assets actually sit. And so that's the nomenclature or identifier that you would want to use in the documentation associated with those assets. Would it stand up in a court of law? Absolutely. If you had a different attorney draft those documents and that's what they put on there and that's where the assets still sat, I'm sure it would be fine. However, if you're looking at specifics, it actually should be the wallet address and not the ledger or cold wallet serial number listed on there as the identifier. Liners. I'm butchering that. It's one of those. When holding digital assets in an LLC, does the tax designation matter? Yeah, it definitely does. So in order to get passed through taxes, you would want to list it as an S Corp. And you would be able to, oh, my son, geez. You get passed through taxation. So there are some stipulations that come in around that. You do have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. In order to designate your LLC to be taxed as an S Corp. And to do that, in most circumstances, it's somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 a year that you'd pay yourself W-2. And anything else that you took out of the LLC would be, you could do as dividends, which wouldn't be subject to the 13.5% corporate tax or income. That's not income tax. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. There's a term specifically for those, but it eludes me right now. So, yeah, it would be in your benefit to set it up as an S Corp or be taxed as an S Corp, but you want to make sure that you do all the things to be able to abide by the tax code to be able to do so. Again, in the longer term vision for this, the LLC would just hold the, and then the C Corp that you set up or the other private trust company that was managing the assets would be where you would take your compensation for doing so. So you could definitely, do it as a C Corp, but if you're going to pay yourself out of that entity, you're going to be taxed at the corporate level and then again at the personal level. And so the pass-through taxation of the S Corp does make sense most of the time. Mike S says, "Hey Jake, how long after Digital Ascension Group is paid along with giving all relevant info does it take for the LLC to get done is ready for transfer of assets?" It depends. It depends on the state. It depends on our filer. 99% of the time, it's going to be 3 to 10 business days at a maximum. There have been circumstances where it's taken longer than that. If it does take longer than that, please reach back out to us and let us know, and we will make sure that it gets addressed and taken care of as promptly as possible. But yeah, that's generally the time frame, 3 to 10 business days. Sometimes it's faster, if the state processes it and we get it out early in the morning. I've had them back same day, but I'm not promising that. Would rather under promise, over deliver. And so we say 3 to 10 days, Mike. Man, good questions. Let's see here. Scroll on down. I've already been through some of these. Hey, good morning from Ireland. Very cool. Appreciate you hopping on here. Living Legacy says no announcement was made from PolySign. No. Still crickets on that. My expectation is that Ripple will use standard custody as their treasury for their stablecoin and XRP. We might get something here at Apex. Apex starts tomorrow in Amsterdam. I don't know if you saw the developers and David Schwartz and who all's there on X today, but they are going to announce their stablecoin there, and so in coordination with that, there may also be some news on PolySign that's not confirmed, but I'm hoping that we do get a formal statement from them along with Ripple here in the short term. Dustin Bauer, hey Ron, he says, what would have to happen for XRP to take over Bitcoin's store of value narrative? Designation as a tier 1 asset in the banking system. Like if the BIS states that that's what XRP is and gives it that designation, you're going to have banks stockpile XRP. And just like they have gold, gold's the store of value. Bitcoin does have a limited supply. As far as I'm aware, there could be extraneous circumstances for that to change. If there was a vote for 51%, they could change that. Or if there was a bug in the code somewhere, David Schwartz, mentioned that did exist at one time. Potentially that's been changed at this point. But XRP's its origin account's been black holed. There will never be more than 100 billion XRP. Nobody can mint more. So with that, I think XRP is a better deflationary hedge than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still inflationary, just at a slower and slower rate over time. There's always more Bitcoin coming onto the market, whereas XRP, aside from the escrow, which you need some way to inflate supply in order to maintain price stability, especially under the current circumstances, at some point, when all of it does enter the market, I think beyond 2027 or 2028 is when all the escrows end. I think at that point, it actually will likely be in a situation where it already has or will take over the store of value narrative, like you mentioned. Thank you for the super chat, Denny. Appreciate you, brother. He says, Jake, thanks for all the investment advice. Don't give investment advice. Looking forward to the additional deal flow in the future for current non-accredited investors. Your team rocks. Thank you, Denny. So we are able to provide a way that people that don't meet an accredited status can participate in deals through the mastermind, because we run 506B deals in the mastermind group, and everybody in there qualifies as sophisticated because of the financial education and business resources, along with the existing business relationship. They are able to participate in the private equity deals that we do run in the group. So that's awesome, and we're happy to do it. It's cool to be able to put that together for people that otherwise wouldn't get access to those things. And then we do have Digital Wealth Partners, which is an RIA underneath the family office that does provide investment advice and financial advice for our clients. So if that's something you're looking for, would love to book a time with you on that side. And that's at digitalwealthpartners.net. Thanks again for the super chat and the support, brother. Look forward to seeing you, I think, Wednesday this week. KB says, what interaction with someone associated with XRP gave you the most confidence XRP's fulfilling your long-term expectations, and why? This is a good question. What interaction specifically? It's been an amalgamation of multiple interactions that have given me the confidence in it that I have, and really just my own research and due diligence. But if I had to pinpoint an interaction with somebody, like I said, it's just been a lot of inferences that I've made. I watch people's actions. Nobody's ever said, hey, Jake, XRP is going to $1,000 on this day, right? Like that's never happened. I see who's associated with it. I've seen the different companies that are going to be using it. Trying to think if there's been a specific interaction. I mean, I got to shake Brad Garlinghouse's hand and talk to him at CoinAlts last year. That was pretty convincing. I've had multiple conversations with David Schwartz. We've had interactions with R3. There's other players and people that I've had conversations with, and it's never been an absolute. Well, I think it's a foregone conclusion, but in the conversations, it's never been an absolute certainty for these people. They just have an extremely high conviction after either working at Ripple or working around those people or working with central banks or other fiduciaries that they're running pilots with or doing things. And so with that, I mean, it just gives me, if I'm going to put my money anywhere in this space, it's on XRP. So wearing my XDC shirt. But yeah, my money's on XRP. Any thoughts on buying XRP in a Roth IRA? I think it's a great opportunity. So Peter Thiel has a $5 billion Roth IRA where he, bought into PayPal private equity, and then he's run multiple other deals and angel investments into stuff like Twitter and Palantir and a couple other companies inside of his Roth. It's a long time before you can get to that capital, and you can't leverage it until you get to 59.5 without any penalties. It is tax-free on the other side of that, which is great. So the closer to that age you are, the more likely I would use that tool. If you're younger, I'd be looking at an insurance policy, PPLI, or some other things to hold that asset aside from a Roth. But again, a small allocation there or a large allocation there isn't going to hurt you, especially, if you plan to live past 59.5, which most of us do, I would assume. Just know that you're going to be encumbered in your ability to really do anything with that until you actually get there. So now we're working on some solutions with that for the RIA and our clients there at the firm. The original investment itself, you cannot borrow, lend, do much with. However, if it earns dividends or pays a yield, that can go into a side account, and that actually can be leveraged, or you can borrow against that. So that's something that we are looking to provide for our clients within the next 6 to 12 months, especially as a lot of these digital assets, get into a position where they are able to earn a substantial return. Let's see here. Mighty Tone says, if an LLC is expected and even required after a few years to have some kind of business activity, whereas a trust, as long as it files returns, does not have that expectation. Yeah, that's about right. If you are running a business and you're a for-profit business, then you should be filing tax returns and show some type of positive revenue. Ideally, that's 1 out of 3 years. By law, it's 1 out of 5. So, yeah, and trusts still file returns as well. And they, if they're generating revenue, do owe taxes on that. Taxes at the trust level are actually higher than at the corporate level, and that's again why I like to orchestrate things the way I mentioned before, where the trust actually owns the equity of the LLC and potentially some assets, but not all of them. And then you have a management company that manages the LLC and takes profits to it, or returns, or management fees, whatever you want to call them. and then pays you out into your living trust or directly into your personal name, ideally into your living trust. So both are going to have to file returns. Trust, depending on what type of trust it is, may or may not generate profits, and but they're still going to have tax returns because both of them do have tax identification numbers associated with them. Dustin says, have you heard of any projects tokenizing insurance? Seems like there should be an opportunity to decentralize that business model. Would be cool to let people sell a cash flow against the, I don't know where the rest of it is. Associations and stuff. So in the mastermind group, we have insurance for everybody that's there. We piggyback on another association, and we've saved some people like literally thousands of dollars a month on their health insurance by going through the group instead of their employer, which has been really cool. But as far as the tokenization of insurance, yeah, I think that there'll definitely be DeFi protocols. The insurance companies are huge. They're very entrenched. They are incumbents, and they're not going to let that go without a fight. It's likely that they will be the ones that actually pay to be able to build out the DeFi protocols and earn fees in those ecosystems and provide those products. I don't think that it's ever going to become, and I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for there to be a completely decentralized insurance model. And if you're up for it, build it. I think that the builders in the space are going to be really rewarded. Just know that that's an uphill battle on that one, because again, similar to like the pharmaceutical companies or the incumbents that exist in whatever industry are not going to be happy about that. The way that I like to go about things is similar to Ripple. You kind of disrupt from within, so you provide them the capability to augment their existing systems with the new technology and create efficiencies and benefits for them, and then disintermediate them later on when you build these siloed ecosystems, and then allow them to bring it to a more neutral playing field where everybody has the same chance of winning later on. I think, and obviously if you're Ripple and anybody else attempting to do that with incumbents, it's going to take a long time. It's probably at least a decade or more, in my opinion, before we would see a decentralized insurance model. Again, would love for that to happen faster, would love to be wrong on that, and would love to see that actually transpire. But people that have the money and are in place, they don't want to give those positions up. So that'd just be my 2 cents there. This is interesting. Aaron's asked, what's my position on airdrops? Is there a strategy to be followed if your LLC or trust wants to participate in airdrops or staking using a second staking wallet other than your main bag? It doesn't have to be a second staking wallet other than your main bag. It could be. That could be an allocation that you might put there to be able to earn income, to pay off the debt against, the other amount that you're borrowing against. That's always a great way to do it. Ideally, you're able to borrow against the stuff that's earning the capital that pays itself off. That's what I'm hopeful for. I don't know if you'll be able to double dip like that, but we're going to try. The way that you would mitigate tax implications for that is you would want some type of lockup period before you're able to withdraw the airdrop or the distributions from the staking rewards, or it needs to be sent to a multi-sig wallet. So let's say those trust lines are issued from qualified custody and somebody airdrops you something because you're holding a certain token. At that point, if it is a multi-sig, so let's say, it's held in qualified custody with us and it requires our signature and yours to be able to remove those, there's no tax implications because you don't have dominion or control. And those are the two qualifiers for taxable events on staking and airdrops. So that would be the way that I would do it. I would get it into a multi-sig wallet with somebody else. And then, when I wanted to remove things and use those assets, there'd be tax implications. Or if I just wanted to borrow against it in the wallet without ever incurring the taxes, that'd be another great way to do it. So hopefully that helps. STO Player says, what's the safest way to loan / make my crypto earn money, like BTC, XRP, ETH mainly? So at Archax, which is who we're going to partner with for custody, aside from standard custody and trust, and also Anchorage, got a call with them this week. At Archax, they have a way that you can earn, I think it's like 21.47% on your ETH if you allow them to issue a bond against it. So that's pretty interesting. I think they stake it for you in a pool, and you still get to keep custody of it somehow, which is great. Then BTC, obviously you can lend that out as well. In the future, you'll be able to lend from qualified custody once there's pseudo accounts on the XRPL. So that kind of matters there for XRP, but at that point you could probably wrap, the X-Chain bridge is probably past at that point. You could wrap BTC or Ethereum on the XRPL if they are still really valuable, and then utilize that pseudo account to be able to issue a trade line or delegate that to a liquidity pool and earn interest that way. Doesn't exist yet. These are things that we're working on and want to bring to life. ETH, again, and I think BTC's, I don't remember what they paid on the BTC. I think it was like 14 or 15%. That they were willing to pay you on your Bitcoin to hold it there in qualified custody with them and issue the bond the way that they had it. So talk to Archax. That's, again, a product that they have. So it's definitely worth considering. They are in the UK. So they are a qualified custodian here in the US, and they are looking to expand in other jurisdictions, including the Middle East and Singapore. But I think it's just the US and the UK that they have the availability for this time. And then we partnered with Maple Finance also. They would allow you to leverage your XRP, your ETH, or your Bitcoin, depending on how it's held. If it's held in qualified custody, it's somewhere between 12 and 15% is the APY or annual percent interest that you're going to owe back against it. And they're going to want 50 or 60% LTV. So if you're borrowing, let's say it's $100,000, they're going to want $200,000 worth of the asset to be able to issue that loan, just because there is volatility in the space. And if you fall below the threshold, they're going to issue a capital call. If you can't cover the capital call, they are going to liquidate your position to be able to recoup their losses. But you get a little more leeway with them than you would a DeFi protocol. They're not just going to liquidate you. Through our conversations, they will at least offer you first right of refusal to be able to buy it back and cover it. So those are the current options that we have. We have a few other, specific partners if it's large amounts that we can talk to. But those are the people that are dealing with amounts that are, somewhere between $1 million and $250,000. Johnny, I would love to know. I mean, maybe you can give me an update on the Riffle case and timelines, etc. The judge has all the information that she needs to be able to issue a ruling at this point, and so we're waiting on her. At some point, hopefully, based on the conversations that I've seen the other attorneys have, I'm not a legal expert. They're saying before September, we should have, a full ruling on the case from Judge Torres or Netburn. And that's where things are. That's the timeline. Prior to September this year, I would expect something to come out and that case to be finalized. Right now, there is no way to earn on crypto without selling it, aside from those that can be staked. I mean, you can lend it out. you can definitely lend it out. BTC is not stakeable, and we can earn a yield on that. XRP, we can lend it out and earn a yield on that. So you're going to have to be okay with somebody else holding your asset at this time, and you have visibility on it. You can see it, but it's not held there in qualified custody in a tri-party agreement and delegated out of that while it's held in escrow, like we're hoping for in the future. But all those things are coming. But yeah, we definitely have the capability to earn on assets, even if they're not a stakeable asset right now. Getting close to the hour mark here. I'm probably going to keep it a little bit shorter tonight. I am watching my son. My wife is out of town, so got to go put him to sleep here in a little bit. Let's see. Moving on down here to the bottom and answer a few questions that are closer to the end. Let's see here. I'm sorry if I missed you. Mount Gox is in the conversation here a bunch. Yeah, I anticipate that they will get those people back their BTC. If I was that person, I got my BTC back, I'm selling it. If I had it at $500 and I get it back at 69,000, I'm out. Or I'm borrowing against it. That's a crazy return, to lose something in 2014 and then get it paid back to you. Pretty awesome. So I hope they get it back to people before we see a big downturn in the market. But they're going to get something on it, right? Like at this point, I don't think, I could be wrong. It could go to zero. I don't think so. But to get back to $500 would be a bad deal. That'd be a bad day for the whole crypto market if BTC got back to $500. So, yeah, I don't. Happy for those people, and again, I hope it actually happens and it comes through and they do get their BTC back. Let's see here. Yeah, and if you have any questions about taxes or the estate planning, or you just want somebody to talk to, obviously you can book a call with us at Digital Ascension Group. If it's on the wealth management side, it's Digital Wealth Partners. If you just want a professional on the estate planning, CPA, accounting, that side of things, just email me, and you can just send it to info@digitalfamilyoffice.io. Me, my assistant, or our team will respond to you, and we'll get you the email of a professional that is in the niche or expertise that you're looking to have a conversation with when it comes to digital assets. What is the safest play? Oh, that's the loan against. I was going to say to hold your digital assets. It would be in qualified custody where it's insured up to $50 million. All right. Messiah says, when will we be over $1? It depends on which cryptocurrency you're talking about. If it's Flare, it's probably going to be a while. If it's XRP, again, I kind of defer back to BCB on this. Blockchain Backer, if you guys don't watch him, he seems to think that we're going to have some volatility in the chart imminently, based on the video that he put out today. So when I say imminent, like give it a 30-day period, does that mean we're over $1 in 30 days? I don't know. But I think we're in for some volatility, either down to the downside or the upside in short order here. So we're at the very end of a very long, drawn-out Wyckoff accumulation, and what he's drawn out over the past couple of years, 7 years since the last all-time high. I'm expecting when this thing does go, we've talked about 50, 100. It could be more than that. Depends on institutional demand and utility. So sooner than later would be my answer to over $1. JC is asked, this is a good question. He says, hey, Jake, love your knowledge, brother. Any confirmation R3 is indeed using XRP to settle? It has the capability. R3 has the capability to settle in XRP. It also has the capability to settle in XDC. There's only one digital asset currently in the US that has clarity. That's how they told it to me. So if you think XDC has clarity, then maybe they'll use XDC. But as far as I know, there's only two assets that are not securities here in the U.S. One is Bitcoin, and the other is XRP. So banks are not going to use anything that they're not absolutely sure is not a security to be able to settle in. And R3 again has the capability to settle in both of those. And there's been other conversations I've had with people that are like, haha, he told you when, Ritesh put out the other day that R3 can settle in XDC. I've said that for a long time. They absolutely can settle in XDC. That doesn't mean that they will or that they are. Will and are definitely two different words rather than can. And same thing for XRP. They are not currently settling in XRP. Will they? Based on the conversation that I had with them, seems pretty likely. Are they currently? No. Can they? Absolutely. So hopefully that, can, will, are. Probably beating a dead horse here, but yeah. Let's see here. What's the yield? They pay 8% on your XRP when you loan it out with our current partners, and that yield is paid back in XRP. Absolutely, brother. Appreciate the good question. And we'll go ahead and end it here with Don. He says, have you heard any news on Judge Torres' decision yet? Crickets, brother. I don't know any more than you guys do. Like I've said before, I have the pleasure of talking to some of the Indians that come out of the tent every once in a while, and they send me some smoke signals, but it's nothing definitive. I've got to kind of read between the lines and speculate a little bit. And I have my convictions and biases that play into that, right? So again, always take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. I am not the end all be all, but I do have, I'm very grateful and blessed to be able to have conversations with people that I feel are in the know. So, but yeah, I'd love for there to be a decision from Judge Torres or Net Burns sooner than later. If we get Fit 21 to pass, then it's they're basically going to fine Ripple for the original sales. And that's really what they're deliberating on right now, is what the fine is going to be for the initial sales to the institutions and other enterprises that they sold to. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get disclosure, publicly of the 1,700 pre-allocated contracts that they have, which I think that would do wonders for XRP's price and also for Ripple's stock. So I don't know if the SEC necessarily wants that, but they asked for it. So maybe the judge will grant them the win on that one. I kind of hope she does. But with anyway, that thank you all for hopping in here tonight. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you guys crush it out there. We do these every Monday and Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we will be back Wednesday with another Q&A. And until then, again, hope you have a blessed week, and we will see y'all on the next one.